Kim Jong Un, also known as the human embodiment of the phrase tyrant. But I understand with a $5 billion bank account and a whole country at his disposal, he doesn't really care about all the dirt that's kicked at him. He was practically born into having everything the common person would only dream of, as he did no real work and provided no actual value when becoming the leader of North Korea. He was simply next in line. This all goes to say, the little man loves his luxuries, from diverse interiors on private jets to personal cinemas and resorts. Here are the 15 most expensive things Kim Jong Un spends his billions on. 1. Armored Mercedes limousine. Politicians travel with a lot of security and protocol because there are all types of unknown threats out there. Well, the North Korean leader understands that he's one of the most hated people on Earth, and so he protects himself like one. His luxury Mercedes-Benz limo is fully armored with bulletproof materials and other ammunitions to protect him from any possible assassination attempt. The most bizarre part of his security measures are his literal meat shields.
Now who doesn't know what a meat shield is?
As I'm sure many of you have seen the photo of him traveling in his limo, the 12 men huddling around the car, at jogging pace as it travels. Talk about overkill. It is believed that this car of Kim Jong approximately costs around $2 million. I would have just gotten myself a supercar, to be honest. 2. Palaces and mansions. You must have heard celebrities and other business magnates purchasing expensive houses and mansions that literally have an entire world within. But let me tell you that this wealthy dictator has somewhat made it his hobby to purchase palaces. Not mansions or houses, but palaces. He currently has 17 of those huge things, and they all scream money. 3. Theme parks. Most leaders would see to it that theme parks are built for the enjoyment of their people. This leader, however, felt his people are undeserving of such luxuries and decided to build 2 theme parks for himself. Not only did he spend $100 million on the 2 parks, but he later felt that they were pathetic and still kept them closed to the public. What a waste of fun. 4. Harlem Globetrotters. What are the Harlem Globetrotters? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The oppressor thought it would be a good idea to purchase an ex-national basketball team. Yep, an American basketball team that now specializes in theater and comedy implemented in their performance. These guys no longer compete in the NBA, but when they did, they were a very well-known team amongst basketball fans. They beat the Minneapolis Lakers back in '45 when the sport wasn't a fraction as popular as it is today. Now, they host events instead of matches where tickets are sold for $25 to $70. This investment was rather one of his more intelligent purchases, since he finally found a way to make money from a source other than his own people, but rather in ethical business practices such as public entertainment. 5. Pianos. Everyone has hobbies. The North Koreans is evidently to spend as much money as he can. With ownership of over 30 pianos, it is clear that he does not appreciate the instrument for its function, but rather sees it as a piece of furniture. Oh, and by the way, each of his pianos cost anywhere between $60,000 and $100,000 apiece. 6. Racehorses. His horses are one of his most prized possessions. In fact, people believe that around 20% of the state's budget is spent on these horses and their well-being. Kim has recently ordered many stadiums to be built in the past few years for that specific use. With sanctions coming down hard on his cash flow, he has built these in hopes of adding to his wealth by taking from his people. He has ruled it legal for anyone ages 12 and up to bet on these races. 7. Private golf course. $3 million has gone into developing the massive golf course for the young power possessor. Interestingly enough, he has never been seen playing on the golf course, nor has he ever mentioned it as a hobby. I would be surprised to see him holding the club in proper form. This $500,000 yearly maintenance setback seems to be a result of having too much money than knowing what to do with. It seems he followed the ways of other fellow billionaires. I mean, seriously, who spends $3 million up front and $500,000 a year to have a course you don't even use. 8. Private jets. I guess we all saw this coming. Being a filthy rich politician and a dictator, how can one not invest in private jets? Yep, he has multiple, since one obviously wouldn't be enough to satisfy him. His flying hotels have all kinds of subtle touches that add to the experience of traveling as a billionaire, such as crystal ashtrays, all kinds of high-end furniture like Bentley and Dior, master chefs, and of course, only the best alcohol we probably haven't even heard of. Talk about extravagant. 9. 100 cars. Okay, he had us at the limo, but 100 cars seems a little excessive considering he never actually drives himself anywhere. He just sits in the back of his Mercedes S600 Pullman or his custom S63S, enjoying the luxury that comes along with them. This one, Kim himself is not entirely responsible for, since a large portion of this car collection was inherited from his father after his passing. 10. Watches. The repulsive ruler does have a passion for something after all, his watches. Kim Jong Un is a huge collector of extremely rare or attractive watches. From his Swiss Movado Museum, which comes from an American company ironically enough, to his new preference of thin watches, the tyrant carries this on as a tradition back from his grandfather. His hundreds of watches total up to a value just north of $8 million. 11. Imported goods. By goods I mean liquor. Kim Jong Un spends a ridiculous amount of money on his alcohol, and at this point possibly his addiction. The amount of booze he gets imported for his personal use is as expensive as most millionaires' houses these days. For the past few years, he and his crew were reported to having spent $30 million on top-tier bottles. This excess of drinking in combination with the presumed stress of being a dictator of a country has caused several recent health issues. I guess that's why you shouldn't invest in binge drinking. 12. Private cinema. Most people would buy a beautiful house with a private theater room, funds permitting of course. Well, Kim decided to take that idea 10 steps further. The authoritarian head of North Korea decided to build a whole movie theater that could hold up to 1,000 people. Since this is a private cinema after all, the 1,000 mark is never reached, and the tyrant probably enjoys this luxury with his close family members, if he has any. 13. Gifts for the wife. From the little information about Kim, we know that he shows affection for his wife publicly, and like every other man, he presents her with all the gifts he can. From all kinds of expensive designer clothes to jewelry of immense rarity. A specific gift purchased by the young leader was a Christian Dior's designer bag, interestingly enough. The bag is said to be worth around $1,500, which does not seem like much in the grand scheme of things for a dictator. 14. Yacht. Unsurprisingly enough, his yacht is no exception to his ultimate spending habit, since it too costed him an astonishing $8 million to build. Not much information has been reported on what the yacht looks like from the inside, but judging by his past customizations, one can only imagine how opulent it feels in there. Using the yacht to travel anywhere outside of his country is probably too dangerous to pull off, so he keeps it reserved for his own personal use within his country. 15. Ski resort. Thought theme parks and private theaters were excessive? How about a whole ski resort? $35 million went into building a large-scale ski resort for tourists and locals for a change. But since the general population rely on their tyrant leader for their income, which isn't nearly enough to make for any potential excess cash to spend, and tourists don't come by very much, the ski resort is used by virtually no one, except for himself when he pleases, and those close enough to him. I hope this video was as eye-opening to you as it was to me. These were the 15 most expensive things Kim Jong Un spends his billions on.